Hi there, my name is Tracy Kafer and you're here on the Finding Your Freestyle YouTube page. I have been wanting to offer monthly videos to support your movement practice for a while, but to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of the post-production in creating these videos becomes a big deterrent because my schedule is so busy. So what I figured is you could just imagine that some beautiful animation popped up with my logo, and maybe you'll forgive that for the sake of just delivering you the content that I'd like to deliver without the stress of producing at a high quality. So come along with me. I'm gonna be posting these every month to offer food for thought, suggestions for your movement practice. And I get this information by just tapping into energetically what the collective is for the movers who may be watching this. And so if something resonates, please take it on board, see how it works its way into your practice. If it doesn't resonate for you, let it go. It's not meant for you. So let's get started. The first thing that's coming up for this month is holding on to that sacred quality of wonder. So being able to wonder, marvel at the parts of your practice that inspire you to move, and then the movement that's a possibility within your own body. So I remember I had a conversation with a friend of mine. This was over a decade ago. And I was going through a hard time, and he was giving me this sweet piece of advice. He's like, whenever I get really stuck and feel powerless, he's like, I take my finger and I move my little finger and I just connect with how marvelous it is that with my instantaneous desire to move, I can move whatever part of my body I want to. And it seems silly, it seems trivial, but when you actually sit into this idea that you can actually evoke any movement with just your instantaneous intent, it goes to show you how much power and potential is packed within your body at all times, that you can create, even if it's just for your own consumption, your own experience. You can create at any time, even in the middle of the afternoon when you have 5 minutes, and you can create something beautiful with your unique body and your unique desires of how you want it to move that day. So do not lose that sense of wonder, and that doesn't just pertain to the body, that also pertains to music and spaces that you're moving in and people that you're moving with. Have you sat down and just listened to a full album, a full creation from a musician, start to finish, and just absorbed it, resourced from it, listened to it intently to get inspired by what this person wanted to express and how they wanted to express it? And then the fact that you can then merge with that music and create dance if you so choose. But one of my suggestions for this month is that you sit down in a passive, inactive vibe and just absorb music and remember and recall how marvelous it is, how powerful it is for shifting our energy, for evoking memories, for inspiring us to dance. And let that wonderment build in your body so that you can kind of charge that battery. And then when you're moving, you're not taking the music for granted. You're not taking your body for granted. You're reveling in the fact that you get to hear this music, that you get to absorb it, and you get to express with it. So don't lose your sense of wonder. And remember that that is something you have to cultivate, and that the more you are producing in your life through activity and through obligation, it's very easy for that battery, in essence, to start to drain. And we start to lose a little bit of the magic. So don't lose your magic, cultivate the sense of wonder, take it slow, take things in one at a time, especially if you're in an overstimulated environment where you're on Instagram all the time, or you're jumping from project to project. It just doesn't help you cultivate that small sense of, wow, this one song is amazing. And we have to slow down, we have to take things in a more detailed way in order to feel that. So that's my first tip. So moving on from cultivating more wonder and wonderment in your practice is the idea of entrainment, and this is super related. So I was driving in my car and I was trying to think about what kind of example I could give for this. And of course, an example came right to me because I started singing to this, or singing with this song that was playing on my iPhone. And I felt that the tone of my voice or whatever was, worthy of being heard, and the quality was all right, and I was doing okay. And then I turned the volume down and tried to continue singing this song without the artist backing my voice. And my voice quality changed, my pacing, my timing, my tone, all completely shifted instantaneously. And so this example may not be applicable to those of you who have, trained your voices. But I would suggest that you get into a car and try this. So putting on something like Tracy Chapman or Mariah Carey, and start singing with a song that you really, really, really love, and notice how your voice will entrain with the tone of that singer, the timing, the inflections, the textures, and that if you don't have that song backing you and you don't have that model singing with you, it's really hard to maintain that. And so when I'm thinking about entrainment, I'm thinking about understanding who I'm spending time with and who I'm watching, like who I'm actually observing. And this can be teachers that you choose to take class with. This can be artists and movers that you choose to spend time watching. Influences that you take from, whether you're conscious or unconscious, that you do that. Be mindful that in spending time focusing on these practitioners, artists, athletes, insert your favorite word, we entrain with them. And the more time we focus on them, the more we entrain with them. And so we just have to wake up to the fact that that's happening, whether we like it or not, and that we can use that to help us in our practice. So another thing I might suggest this month is that you just take care with what you are entraining with and get creative and curious about how that's happening. So again, if it's people, if it's other influences like music and clothing, if it's other influences like space, there's this entrainment that's going on as your energy and the energy of that object, person, place start to merge and join. And it's not something that you can disconnect with. Even if you think you have massive boundary separation up between you and the space that you're in, or you and the people that you're around, it's still having an influence on how you move, how you feel, what you prioritize, and how you express yourself, because you are in training with these things and these people that are near you. So being mindful and just becoming aware of what entrainment is going on, and just notice it, especially when that experience is positive. Notice how that's happening, who it's with, what it's with, and can you work with that more intentionally? So the third thing I want to talk about, and this is probably not the last time I'm going to talk about it, because we are on a lifelong journey with this, and that is the breath. So remembering to breathe foundationally, first and foremost, making time where you're doing that first, during, and last in your movement practice. But understanding that the breath becomes an access point. And so again, I was thinking about how to give an example. And what came to me is, if you've been asked a question that you really want to answer truthfully, or if you've been asked a question that you really care about answering, that interests you. For example, if I asked you, what do you really want out of life? What's the first thing that you're going to do if you really care about answering that question? You're going to take a big breath. Now, there's other things that may happen. You may look up to the left, up and to the right, things like that. But the breath becomes this taking in. So you're not only taking in the inquiry, but you're bringing your focus inward, and we do that through the breath. So notice the next time you're asked a question that you're engaged in, notice how that breath unconsciously happens. And then take that knowledge and wisdom into your dance room. And when you are setting your intentions before you dance, whether you're self-prompting, whether you're being prompted, that you're doing that kind of breathing while you are getting ready to prepare yourself to go into the experience of moving. So before you move, that you're taking that in symbolically, metaphorically, and literally with that breath, so that you're absorbing it and that you're taking your focus inward, so that when you create, you are much more centered with truth and authenticity and your present moment. So remembering that breath intake, specifically that one that I spoke of in the example, and of course just mindfulness of breath in general in your practice. I was thinking of a suggestion for teachers, and I thought a really cool suggestion for teachers would be to bring in the meditation bell. So in certain like sanctuaries and retreats, you might hear a big bell when you're meant to bring your focus to the present moment. So it'd be really fun in your classes, if you're teaching, to have something you can make noise with, and that can be a cue, an audible cue to remind your students to do some sort of task, like take a deep breath. So I might even take my own advice on that one and try it. But yeah, bring a little bell into your room. When you're ready to ring it, that reminds the students, check in with the breathing. And that would be really useful during warm-up if you're tired of cueing it over and over again with your voice. So the last thing that I want to talk about today in this month's video is the idea of knowing when to begin and when to end, knowing when to start and when to stop in your practice. And I'm going to go a little bit further into that, but it also reminds me of this idea of playing it safe and playing it unsafe. So I'm not sure which one's going to resonate for you, but we all have tendencies on either side. And the first thing I want to say about that is, when you feel that urge to move, if you can honor that feeling more often, more consistently, you are going to use our word, entrain more deeply with your practice, that is a priority in your life and in your body. And that can have really big effects, positive effects in your practice if you're honoring that impulse more often. The problem, of course, is that in our lives we don't have that opportunity, but if you can create space for that, even if it's something like going into the bathroom and doing like 20 hip circles by yourself, you are going to see the effects of that focus and that dedication. And on the other side of the coin, the idea of not knowing when to stop. The example I can think of is if you're making a video for Instagram. Let's say that you are someone that feels the need to produce content, whether it's for your own self-promotion purposes, or whether it's a goal, or whether it's a value. And let's say you're creating that content and you don't know when to stop executing. And you can feel that the body's getting tired and you're losing form, but you're forcing your body into that execution time and time again, bypassing all the sensations you're getting in your body, and you're not understanding when is the most mindful point to stop. And so that's where would come in the idea of playing it unsafe. So this month, notice the days that you play it safe. There's a difference between kind of holding yourself back and failing to initiate, and also just needing downtime. So start to discern the difference, but then also understand when you're bypassing the sensations in the body, in your thoughts, in your emotions, that's telling you it's time to rest, it's time to stop, it's time to pull your energy back in and recover and rejuvenate and relax. And so imagine these as edges. I want you to play with these edges and see what's happening when you're in those different parts of your experience. And notice it when you're playing it safe, when you are not initiating practice when you should, because of time constraints or obligations or thinking it needs to be a certain length of time. And then also notice when you play it unsafe, when you don't know when to quit, and then when you put your body and your energetic field in fatigue. Put your energy field into a state of lack because you're kind of burning at the candle at both ends. I hope this video was helpful this month. I'm gonna keep doing these because this is what I do in my own practice, sort of reflecting on what's going on for me, what's going on in the collective, and how that's mirroring in my movement practice. And I want to create this dialogue where we are thinking about these things because they do exist and they are a part of the practice. And this is my passion, and I want to help you with your practice. So if this is helpful or it gets you thinking and you want to share a comment, please leave a comment down below. And please, if you found this useful, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss the next one. I'm sending you so much love, and I hope you make time to move today.